Hello, my name is Dimitri. Today I'm going to show you a demonstration of a program called Global Office Find and Replace. Global Office Find and Replace is a software that allows you to do find and replace operations on Microsoft Office documents such as Excel, Word, or PowerPoint. It does all sorts of things. In this demo, we're going to concentrate on connection strings, but I encourage you to go to our website, www.officefindreplace.com, and take a look at the other functionalities of the software. Okay, so with the connection strings, we can allow you to discover all connection strings and setting in your Excel documents on a computer and show them to you in one convenient location. You will not need to open Excel documents one at a time. We're going to see a demo of this. This is unique to our software and is very, very useful if you have a lot of Excel documents that connect to data, such as Access, SQL Server, or what have you. You can fix the connection strings in one easy operation in multiple documents. You can also change the connection string file name. Sometimes the connection itself is stored in a file, such as in SharePoint or on your hard drive. And if you move that file, all of your Excel connection strings will be broken to data and your data will not display. The software will allow you to fix those situations, such as when you move the connection string file in SharePoint. This is very easily accomplished, and it will do it in multiple documents in one easy operation. You can change the connection name, of course, and you can change other connection string properties using this software, and we're going to see a demonstration of that. I've broken the demo into multiple sections. In the first section, I'm going to show you how to discover all the connection strings in Excel, multiple Excel documents on your computer, which is a very useful functionality, and you do not need to open Excel again one at a time. All right, let's get started. Allow me to set this up for you. On my computer, I have 6 Excel documents. They all contain 2 connection strings. One is in a file and one is not. It doesn't matter what they are. One is an Access connection and another one is a SQL Server connection. So let's take a look at one and see what it looks like. I'm going to open up the Office document, and of course I'm going to go to my Data tab, and I'm going to go to the Connections settings. And these are the connections that I'm going to be working with in this demo. That's what we're going to center on. So the first one is an Excel connection to SQL Server. If I go into Properties, I can see the definition of the connection here. Here it is. There's a bunch of properties here. We're going to change this connection string to arbitrarily just to show you how it works. I also have a Access connection. Same thing. The connection has a name and it has some properties in it, and we're going to again arbitrarily change some of this connection string properties just to show you that it can work in multiple Excel documents. In the other Excel documents, they're all the same. They're all basically have the same connection in them. I just want you to see that you can do this in multiple files. You can do this in hundreds of Excel documents. It doesn't have to be just one at a time. This is the main screen of the Office Find and Replace software. This demo is not about how to use the software. It's actually very straightforward. You just select a location on your computer where the files are located, and I've done that already. I've selected them here, and you can see I have 6 files selected of type Excel. And that's all said and done, and we're not going to concentrate too much on this. What we're now going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on the Data Connection Strings button in the step 3 of the software, which will bring up the following screen. When this screen comes up, it'll show you 3 different tabs. In the first tab is a list of file names that you've selected in the step 1 of the program, and there's a button that says Show Properties, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the very first one. This one will bring up all the connections and the connection properties that are in that Excel document 1. You can see all the connections. I can see my connection for the SQL Server database that I have here, and I can also see the Access connection string. You can see connection string names, and here's the other connection string name. You can also see the connection string file, which we're going to change a little bit later in this demo. The second tab, and you can return to the document list by clicking the button there. Second tab shows you unique connections. In other words, all of my Excel files contain the same 2 connections. So you can see them conveniently displayed here, because sometimes it's very hard to just wade through connections in 100 documents. We make it easy for you. We go through and we figure out which of the connections are basically the same. I say, okay, so here it is. Here's a connection to a SQL Server. I'm sorry, this is the connection string, yes, to the SQL Server database. It's contained in 6 files. And you can see those files by clicking on the Show Files button, and here they are. And you can return it back. We can go back. So this is very convenient. You can see all of your unique connections and what they look like. Now, you can also, the third tab deals with finding and replacing pieces of the connection or attributes of the connection string itself. You can just start typing. You can say, I want to change the word. I have a word Antec, I think, in there. It's the name of the server. Let's say that that server name has changed. I'm going to replace it with the name server name, just for clarity. And that's all you have to really do. So that's one way you can do that. The other thing you can do here, you can go back to any of the other tabs and click on the Update button. That will create a new entry in the Find and Replace Update tab, and it automatically inserts the entire value of the connection string in the text to find. Usually, you probably will not do that normally. You probably will not replace the entire connection string. You will just replace a piece of it, which is fine. But you could do it this way as well. I'm going to delete that. I'm not going to change that. You delete the entry in the screen by pressing the red X. If you want to make another change, you can click on Add Another Refine and Replace Operation. In this case, maybe I want to change the connection file, connection name, or a different property like the source file in the connection name. So this is very, very useful, and you can change that name right here. You can just add text to find and the text to replace. You will note that this screen allows a couple of options next to the text to find and text to replace. If you click on the option button here, the default is text. So this input box, text to find, is treated as text. You can change that to regular expressions. The background color will change to green, and it'll allow you to put in a regular expression in here to find what you want in the connection string. This is extremely convenient. You can also even go back here and say, I want also to apply a regular expression after I'm done making the change. This is also extremely convenient. Now, for this particular, for the connection string, the case insensitive is grayed out because it really doesn't make any sense. It's always going to be case insensitive for connection strings. I want to point out a couple of other things. You can export to CSV any changes that you've made here. Let's say I've made several changes to various properties here. So let's say I made change from A to B, from like, I don't know, from C to D here, or you know, any what have you, something like John to Jerry, for instance. I can make all of these changes and export them to CSV and save them on my computer, and it's very convenient. If you want to make the same changes over and over down the road, you can save them and then we can load them back from that template. The template is easy to navigate. You can, when you export it, you'll see the column names, and you can take a look at that and fill in whatever you like. There's also help available. First of all, you can watch this video. This video will show you everything you need to do, but you can also click on the help button here, and help will come up, and it'll explain all the different settings and go into some of the other nuances here. The help is available for the entire program, and you can see a lot of the subjects here. Okay, so now that we've seen how the screen operates, let's go ahead and fix a property on the connection string. For the sake of argument, let's say that my workstation ID for the SQL Server connection has changed. I went back to my Unique Connections tab, and I found that here's my SQL Server connection that's located in 6 Excel files. And I want to change the word Antec to some other workstation name. Doesn't matter what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Find and Replace Connection tab, and I'm going to go ahead and type in Antec, and I'm going to put in new workstation name. And that's really all you have to do. I'm going to leave the connection string drop down as connection string because that's what we were concentrating on. I'm going to go ahead and save and close. I'm going to make one other change. I'm going to go back to the data connection strings button, and I'm going to change also an aspect of the access database connection. If I go down here, see, this is my access connection. I'm going to change the user ID. I don't like the user ID in my access database connection. I'm going to change from admin to John, for example. So John Smith, let's say. So I'm going to go back to the find and replace connection, and I'm going to add another replace operation also on the connection string. I'm going to change admin to J Smith. Now notice the reason I wanted to do this is because you can see that I can make multiple changes in one operation on multiple files, not just one operation on multiple Excel files, but multiple changes on multiple Excel files are possible. And I'm going to click Save and Close button. You will note that I have two connection string changes, and the background of the connection string button turns to green. It means that I've made some changes in the connection string facility of the program. Next, I'm going to click on the select destination. I'm going to select a directory on my computer. This can be anywhere in your environment. This could be a network drive, SharePoint, whatever you need. I'm going to put it on my computer in the output folder. I'll click OK. After I do that, the perform substitution button becomes available, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And this program will go ahead. It's very fast. Notice it didn't take any time whatsoever. It processed 6 files in no time flat. This will work very well with hundreds of files if you want. Now there's a convenient button here that's Open Result Folder, and if I click on that, it'll bring up the resulting folder where the output was placed that I selected here in this directory. Now that I have opened my output directory, you can see that I have 6 files that I've processed. Let's take a look at what we got. So I'm going to open the very first one, and I'm going to go to Data, and I'm going to go to Connections. And I have 2 connections, and remember we replaced 2 different aspects of both connections. So let's go ahead first and click on the AdventureWorks customer. That's our SQL Server database. We changed the server name, if you recall, from Antec to a new server name. If I go to Properties, Definition, and I take a look, and I should be able to see that my workstation ID is now new workstation name, because that's what I replaced in the connection string. Okay, I'm going to go back. Now let's take a look at the access database connection string that we changed. If I go to Properties and Definition, and notice now I've changed the admin to J Smith user ID. And again, remember, you can change any aspect of the connection string. All right, so that's good. We did that in one. Let's take another Excel file just quickly to make sure that we did the right thing. If I open the second connection string demo, remember they all had the same connection string by definition. That's how I set this up. And again, I go to Data, Connections, and AdventureWorks, Properties, and the Definition, and you should be able to see that I've changed the ID to the new workstation name. So now what I've shown you is that I can take multiple Excel files and change any aspect of the connection string in those files in one operation. Okay? Let's take a look at another demo. Now, let's take a look at a different demo. This demo will allow us to change the location of the connection string file. This is very important, like for example, when you have a connection string file stored in SharePoint and you need to move all of your Excel spreadsheets that connect to a data source, such as for example, a business intelligence cube. It would be very useful to change the location of the connection string file in one operation instead of having to go through the pain of changing it in multiple files multiple times. You can also change that, of course, if it's located on a hard drive or a network share. It works the same way. It is very convenient. All right, let's take a look. Okay, I'm back at the main screen. I've cleared out the previous set of changes that were in the connection string tab. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the data connection string button again. And this will again bring up the list of all the connection strings in my files that I selected in step 1, which is basically 6 Excel documents. I'm going to go to the Unique Connections tab, and let's change the location of the connection file name. I'm going to change it to some nonsensical place for myself, of course, but for you, this will be something that will be in your environment. What you can do here is I'm going to go ahead and click on the Update Action button this time. Instead of going to find and replace and entering from scratch, I'm just going to click Update and allow the system to make the necessary entry for me. Now, it will create the entry right here for the connection file. I'm going to delete the empty connection string. I don't need it. And this is the value that's located in 6 of my Excel documents, and I can see that here. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe out some part of this. I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to change the AdventureWorks to something else. For example, I'm going to change AdventureWorks to My AdventureWorks. Let's say I change the name of the connection string file. So now you're going to see how that works. I'm going to save and close. And destination is already selected for me. I'm going to perform the substitution. It takes no time at all. Our program is multi-threaded. It's very fast. I'm going to open the result folder. I'm going to click on the first. Let's pick a different one. Instead of first one, let's pick the 6th one so you see that it works in all cases. I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to go to my Data tab, and I'm going to go ahead to go in my Connections tab, and I'm going to go into the AdventureWorks customer, and I'm going to click on Properties. I'm going to go into the definition, and now the connection file name will change, and you can see that it's now called My AdventureWorks connection file. So now I've changed the name of the connection file. You can change any aspect of the connection file name. You can change the where it's located, the hard drive name, the name of the file itself, the directory. Any aspect can be changed very easily. Okay, I'm going to show you one more demo now about how to turn on the Always Use Connection File checkbox. Sometimes this is very important. So let's try that. Now I'm going to show you a demonstration on how to turn on a checkbox in my data connection string properties in Excel. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to use the Always Use Connection File checkbox. This is a very important checkbox that says ignore the connection string and actually use the file where the connection string is stored. Sometimes it's very necessary to turn it on in our software. So let's take a look at how we can accomplish this. Okay, I'm back at the main screen once again. I've removed all the changes that I made previously, and we're back with 6 files in the input directory. I'm going to click on the data connection strings, which brings me to the first tab, which shows me all the files, and I can again examine all the different properties. Now I'm going to go to Define and Replace Update Connections, and I'm going to update the Always Use Connection string, Always Use Connection file in this screen. So I'm going to go back to the drop down, and I'm going to say Always Use Connection File because that's what I want to do. I can go ahead then and enter into the text to find. So this is a true or false value. It's not a string. So this is treated a little bit differently in the Global Office Find Replace software. I'm going to say change anytime that it's false to true. The regular expression settings are ignored for this entry. I'm also going to go ahead and make another change, and I'm going to say change from blank to true as well. So sometimes this setting is not set in the file at all, and we just don't have any value for it. So I'm going to make these 2 changes. They don't hurt anything. One of them will be used for the purpose that we want. Just to be safe, I'm going to make 2 changes and just leave it at that. I'm going to save and close. Once again, the Perform Substitution button is available. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And it processed 6 files in less than a second. It's very, very, very quick. I'm going to go ahead and open the result folder. In the result folder, of course, I have the 6 files that I selected as my input. For the hell of it, I'm going to select the connection string demo 4, but rest assured, the same change was made in all of the files that I've selected. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. I'm going to click on the Data tab, click on the Connections, and I'm going to select the first one and go to the definition. And you can see that the checkbox for Always Use Connection File is turned on. In our input file, it was turned off. So now, in this case, the connection string will be ignored, and the file will be used for the connection. Whatever the connection is in that file, that's what Excel will use. Let's just check one more, just so we prove the point here. I'm not going to save this. I'm going to go to connection string demo 2 file and go to the data and the connections tab and AdventureWorks and the properties and the definition, and you see that the always use connection file is turned on. Thank you for watching. I hope you saw a very powerful demonstration of how you can change the connection strings in multiple Excel files in one operation using a program called Global Office Find and Replace. Please go to www.officefindreplace.com to download the trial version. You can try it before you buy it. You can also email us with any questions you might have about this to exisllc@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.